Hey.
Hello,
Are we
everyone.
here? Julian, we need to reset camera 3 that says color, and then bring that in as our opener. There you go. So when you kill the video, there you go, and put that up on go to camera 3, color. Hit click. Now bring it over. All right, because we had Pastor Matthew there, who's our guest. And hey, folks, welcome to your Niagara Falls experience, which today includes all kinds of stuff. We had a real issue with Facebook wasn't connecting, so that's why we're a couple of minutes late. We apologize. And I'm Peter Green, and to my left, your right, is
Nico Santangelo, the American, although the Canadian flag's above me today, so I guess I'm an honorary Canadian.
I know, like, there's mine, eh? No, there's mine right over here, yay. So, yeah, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to the most informative, most interesting show about Niagara Falls one could ever imagine. So, how was your week?
It was a long week. It's been interesting. I think we're all still recovering from the Bills game.
And you did some all-night bowling and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. So, that long story short, I ended up on Saturday night at 3 different bowling alleys. I only ended up bowling at 1 in Tonawanda, but I was in Cheektowaga, I was here in the Falls at Rapids, then I ended up over at Tonawanda Bowling Center, and that was, then suddenly it's 1 in the morning, and it's like, why are we still out? We're getting too old for this.
And you're what, 24?
I'm 27, Peter.
27, right. 3 years makes a difference. Well, one of the things that we're aiming for with this show, and in addition to visiting a lot of the features and highlights on both sides, is meeting people who've been here and getting their take on their experience and learning a little more about them. And today is our first opportunity to meet someone and who has been here before. Now, I had the opportunity to meet him, but if we're ready there, Julian will bring in. This is Reverend Matthew McDonald from, introduce yourself, Reverend.
Hi, my name's Pastor Matthew. I live in Bradford, PA. I originally came from Scotland, and it's a delight and honor to be here tonight.
Oh, this is great. Thank you. Well, welcome to myself and Nico. You and I have met. In fact, that's how we knew each other, was that, I don't know if you remember. Do you want to describe how we met?
Yes. I'd gone to Niagara Falls for my first time, and we went to the visitor centre, and we were just walking down from the visitor centre, and I seen these 2 gentlemen in period clothing, and as we were walking down, the politeness and the smiles warmed you to their character, and I believe you introduced yourself, and the gentleman introduced himself, and instantly there was a connection. Because you asked where I was from, and I said Scotland, and it was that kind of connection you make with people instantly. And as I was walking down, the 2 of you had a wealth of history of Niagara Falls, and you were telling us all about the falls, but you made it come alive, and you made it exciting, and you made it informative. And you were telling us all these things about the falls, which I'd never heard of before. So it made my first visit really fantastic in that sense. I was taking in all the history, all the information, but I had 2 wonderful tour guides that were so polite and so helpful. You couldn't have asked for 2 better gentlemen on that day.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Of course, there was myself dressed as, I remember, as Augustus Porter, and a colleague of mine, Aaron Rath, was portraying Nikola Tesla. So we had a lot of fun, and your lovely wife, Janie, was with you?
Yes, she was.
Now, were you married
We
by that point?
No. I got to know Janie. I lived in Scotland, and I decided to write just for something to do as a hobby. And I wrote a Christian devotional called My Thought for Today. Janie had read some, and she replied to some. I replied to her comments, and from there we started writing to each other, and we built up a friendship. And then we went on Yahoo Chat. I don't know if anybody remembers that. And so we talked for 2 years in Yahoo Chat. And we then had a phone plan, which was a great package. So she invited me over to America, and that's the first time we ever met was at the airport in America, and
Oh,
we
wow.
bonded instantly.
That's really cool. I think we've got an echo. It might be coming from your side. I don't know.
Oh, it's gone away.
Oh, is it?
Yep,
Good.
we're clear.
Yeah. Okay. We've been getting rid of some technical gremlins today, as you can tell. But that's beautiful though, because I remember it seemed like you were soulmates. You were so comfortable
Yes.
together, and
Yes.
and then you emigrated to the United States, didn't you?
Yes, I did. We began the process, and it is a lengthy and tedious process, and you really have to have it in your heart to do that transition. It's a big step, it's a big commitment, but I knew God was in it for us. We had prayed about it, we knew it was the right step to take, and so we trusted God with every step of the immigration progress. And it's something that you have to go through, you have to commit to.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come over to America, you learn all the lingo, you learn all the phrases, you re-educate yourself, and they get you to eat such things as a corn dog, which I'd never heard of in my life. And so it's been an education. It really has.
It is interesting when, especially Europeans. I had somebody from Germany on a tour today, a young woman who is here on a 3-month visit, and she was talking about the United States. What a different experience it was. So I took her to Wegmans. Do you have Wegmans there in Bradford area or anywhere near
We have
there?
Wagmans, I believe, in Jamestown.
Right. And she came out of it and she said, that is the greatest food store I've ever seen. And she was so happy. But yeah, it's the experience. A lot of people, it's a big culture shock because we watch a lot of American television, etc. But we really don't know until we're here what, how to acclimatize to where you are in the U.S. And
It's interesting you said the word acclimatized. See, I was brought up with Little House on the Prairie. I was brought up in the Waltons,
right,
and then I was introduced to Dallas with J.R. Ewing.
right.
So my concept of America is everybody had big ranches, everybody lived in the mountaintops,
Yeah, only
and
Nico.
so when I came over to America, and I visited my wife now, she lives in Mount Jewett, which has a Swedish settlement from way back. So there was a lot of connections, a lot of things I had to learn. So she invited me, asked me if I'd ever been to Niagara Falls. The only thing I knew about Niagara Falls is I've seen it once or twice in movies, and I didn't really appreciate the magnitude and the beauty of the falls. It's incredible because as for someone who's never been there, as you're driving towards the falls, you see the mist and you wonder what that's about. Then you hear the roar of the falls, and something inside of you kind of gets really excited, like a young boy just about to open Christmas presents. And then when you arrive there, it's very, very busy. The queues aren't horrendous. You take your turn, you enjoy every moment, and then you get on the little tram car that takes you from
Yep,
one place
the
to
trolley.
another.
Yeah.
Just the trolley, and then we had the privilege of, we took our passports with us and we visited the Canadian side as well. And one thing I noticed about the Canadians is they're ever so polite.
I think we have everyone
They
fooled.
in fact, I can tell you, if a Canadian was in front of a taxi rank, he'd be the last person to get in the taxi. He would let everybody go before them. They're just so polite that way.
Well, they do have that reputation, and the Canadian side is a beautiful experience. It's funny when you were talking about the queues in Niagara Falls. Nico is very familiar with that.
Oh,
He's
yes.
been involved with numerous locations down there where they have long lineups, etc. So, and Nico is my American co-host, and he's
Yes.
local Niagara Falls.
Yeah, so I grew up right here in Niagara Falls, New York, my entire life.
Wow.
So I've and it's funny, like you say, you just seeing Niagara Falls, you sort of before you're here, you're just seeing it in movies and stuff, and it's you don't understand the magnitude of it. There's an idea here in Niagara Falls, like people that live here, where we forget it because we're here so often and we're kind of used to it. It's not until you actually and a lot of people around here, they won't even go to the park. They're just like, oh yeah, it's there. And then every once in a while they'll go and we play tourist in our own town and we remember, oh, this is awesome. Like this is a really wonderful, powerful experience.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Nico, because where I come from, Scotland, a lot of people who come over from Scotland enjoy the beauty of it. I think when you're brought up in the area, you really almost take for granted the beauty of your own backyard. And so when I lived in Scotland, it was congested in the town that I live in. And when I went to Mount Druitt to visit Janie and her mum, it was all beautiful countryside. And I remember saying to her, you don't realize how privileged you are to live where you are because of the countryside, the freshness, the smell, the people, the attitude. It's like night and day from where I came from.
It's a great take.
It really is.
I remember to use a spiritual reference. When we walked with you, I called it sort of a walk to Emmaus.
That's right. That's
It was
right.
like we were on the Emmaus Road, and where Christ appeared to the two disciples who were both saying, have you not heard what's happened, etc. But that's one of the beauties of Niagara Falls is the whole world comes to the falls. And when you're from Scotland or Germany or Brazil, whatever nation, India, whatever nation, everyone comes with that sense of wow. And as you're saying, they are impacted on it. There's an historical reference for that, what you said, actually by a Catholic priest who back in 1678, Father Hennepin, and he was traveling with an explorer by the name of La Salle, and they were, of course, searching for the quick route to the Orient. And that's why everybody was searching and passing through or exploring through North America. They were trying to shrink the trade routes and the time it took to reach India and China. And Father Hennepin wrote about it. He was the first European to chronicle the falls. And he wrote about it later and said that for 2 days they could hear the roar of the falls as they progressed along the river.
That's amazing because when we were coming up to the falls and we were so many miles away from it, it's a sound you never forget.
Mm-hmm.
Once you hear that or whatever sound it makes, it just wows you inside. And it's like the hair stick up at the back of your neck because you don't know what it is, even though it's explained to you. You don't know the magnitude of it. I enjoyed in the American side and going on the Maid of the Mist, which was an incredible experience because the closer you went up to the falls, the deafening it became.
Yes.
But everybody was so happy and so excited to get absolutely drenched. And we're all happy to do so. And then you come round and the view is breathtaking. And then, as I said, I went over to the Canadian side. And there's a little round bit at the Canadian side. And you feel as if you're looking over the falls and the mist and the spray, and then the sheer magnitude of it and the strength of those falls and the amount of water gushing over there really captivates you. And for a moment, you're lost in awe and wonder. It's like you can sit and watch a campfire and just stare into it and be lost. And that's how it was when I got so close to the falls. I had this sort of um, spellbound effect on me that I just took it in awe and wonder.
It's a beautiful account. It's I often think of the hymn, How Great Thou Art, when I'm out there. When I in awesome wonder consider all the works thy hands have made. And there is a deep spiritual connection to Niagara Falls that a lot of people feel.
Yes, it is.
And tell us a little bit about your spiritual connections here. Like you're in Pennsylvania, and what is the name of your
Yes.
fellowship?
It's New Life Fellowship in Bradford. When I came over, my wife, Janie, who wasn't my wife at the time, we were getting to know each other, and she said to me, "You have the call of God in your life to be a pastor." And I always knew that because at 6 years old, we would, in a primary school, walk down to the church at Easter time. And I remember at the church Easter time looking at the minister preaching, thinking, that's all I want to do when I grow up is be a pastor. But that opportunity never availed to me. I was always a leader in the church, always involved in some way. And then when I came over, we both knew that we should study for the ministry together as husband and wife. So I came over, and I think within 4 days we get married when I came over here on the 11th of December. And then we started studying for the ministry together, which is, I think if you go in together, it means so much more. And then from that point, we were accepted. We became ordained ministers of the Foursquare Gospel Church. And then we were assistant pastors for a while. And now we've been senior pastors for, it feels like forever, but it's coming on 9 years of senior pastorship. And it's been an education for me because I've had to almost interpret some of the American sayings, because some sayings in Great Britain that we can't say in America, and some sayings in America we can't say in Great Britain, and I'm not going to say any of them, but it's just that mixture that you have. You have to be very careful and conscious of what you're saying.
I almost want to do a separate show on that. But, and that's true. How large is your congregation right now?
Well, we have about 50 congregation. I think that's the average size in America. And then you have the bigger churches that have 300 or 400 at a time. But I learned in America, the average size of churches range between 50 to 70 people.
Right. And God doesn't count heads, he counts hearts, doesn't he?
Well, this is the thing which I always tell people when you're coming to church. Come on a Sunday, because we live in a community that likes hunting and sports. And I say, come in your camel gear, come in your jeans, come in your t-shirt, come with your red hair, pink hair, or no hair at all. Come with your tattoos, your piercings, and sandals and shorts. Your appearance doesn't really matter. What matters is that you come and you're accepted by everyone in the congregation.
Amen. Amen. Come just as you are to worship. That's wonderful, because having met you, having talked to you before as well, and I follow you on Facebook. I read a lot of things that you'll post of your developments, etc. And it's watching how you've grown into American culture, how you've become a shepherd to to the people in Pennsylvania, and you're very open to people. So it's nice to see that. Do you ever find you use illustrations like Niagara Falls or something you see in Pennsylvania or someplace you visited in sermons and lessons? Have you ever found an opportunity to utilize something you've seen or?
Yes, and I'm glad you said that. That's a fantastic point. I actually, and I don't mean to embarrass anyone, please. I certainly don't go my way to do so. But I was speaking, it was the week after Easter. We dealt with the cross, the crucifixion, the resurrection, and now the week after Easter was the Emmaus Road. Now, let me tell you my take on that. When I met you, Peter, there was something. You were hungry for God, and you were reaching out to God, and you kept referring to me as pastor, and I kept looking over to my wife like, so, but you kept referring to me as a pastor, but I knew the call of God was on my life to be a pastor, and this was the interesting thing. When I gave you my email address, I got over to Scotland, and I think it was no more than a few days later, you sent me this email about how it felt like an Emmaus experience for you, where your heart suddenly became alive and in fire for the things of God. And so I used that in a sermon and explained to people how I met you and how we all travel at one point in our life in the Emmaus Road. And it's just, it seems to be a spark, a word from a song, someone says something, and we feel that tugging of our heart by God to come back to Him. And it's the most beautiful thing. I tell people about William Penn, who was the founder of Pennsylvania. I quote him. I quote the machine gun preacher who came from Pennsylvania. I talk about the beauty of America and the places that I've been to. I talk about Canada. In fact, when I was over in Canada, I actually bought my only hockey shirt I ever bought in my life, and it was a
I have to
Canadian
know.
hockey shirt.
What
I
team?
had to get one. It just said Canada. So this was interesting. I bought a Canadian hockey shirt, and then I realised I have to go back to America and wear it. So that was the fun thing of that one.
Oh, that's great. I saw your wedding photos, and I was showing them to Nico and Julian, our young producer. And you look so splendid in your tartan, and you had the sporting. And what do you call the sash that you wear around? I'm trying to remember that. That comes over your shoulder.
That's a tartan wear. It's a plaid tartan, and the story behind that is it's not just for decoration, because when the Highlanders were out in the field with their kilts, that it was a longer one then. It wrapped around the shoulder and round the waist. So at night time, when they were out in the fields looking after the sheep, they took this off, and it was the blanket that covered them.
Oh, okay.
And now, when you see my picture is from the McDonald tartan, and it's a very nice, colourful tartan. But in the Highlands, they didn't really have these colours. It was only till later on that they developed the colours for formal events, so they would stand out. But they had greys and browns and blacks, and they realised the reason they had that is because when they were out in the hills, they could cover themselves with these if they were being hunted by English people, and they would look and they wouldn't find them or pinpoint them out with all the shrubbery, all the rocks, so they could hide, and they used that as a sort of camouflage thing.
Oh, so the people you're inviting in Pennsylvania to wear their camouflaged shirts are very similar
Yes.
to the invitations that were extended to the Highlanders.
That's true.
That is very interesting, and I want to come back on that in a minute. We're going to run a quick 1-minute commercial for us for one of our sponsors, a wonderful winery here in the area. And some point, if you and Janie ever come up, we would love to take you there. And we'll be right back in just 1 minute. And more with Pastor Matthew McDonald from Bradford, Pennsylvania, and originally Scotland. On the shoreline of Lake Ontario, just east of Wilson, New York, you'll find a sweet spot that combines old world charm with new world vintages. From the rustic elegance of their grounds to the warmth and enchantment of their tasting room, you'll feel a special welcome to Victorienburg Wine Estate, owned and operated by Victoria and Dan Hogue. Award-winning wine is available for tasting, or for a true adventure of pairing, you can savor the wide variety of award-winning chocolate truffles and their suggested wine partners. From the superb traditional wines to specialty vintages infused with chocolate or other delights, there's something for every palate. No setting on the wine trail can match this marriage of vintage and delicacy. Our tasting room is open daily, Sunday through Friday from noon until 5 and Saturday from 11 to 6. Acres of vineyards, patios, rhythmic fountains, and our rose garden entice you to stroll the grounds after tasting our award-winning wines. Find us at 4402 East Lake Road in Wilson, New York, or online at www.victorienburg.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your Niagara Falls experience.
This is a fun one, too. By way of Pennsylvania, we have Reverend Matthew McDonald from the New Life Fellowship in Bradford, Pennsylvania, who I had the pleasure of meeting on what we were just terming an Emmaus walk or an Emmaus moment. Now, if you're not familiar with the scriptural reference of Emmaus, or the walk, the road, in John's Gospel, after the resurrection, there are two disciples who were, I guess, disciples or friends of Jesus. Just hit close on that, Julie, and it means you have to pick a different camera. And sorry, we're just getting something geared up here. There we go. And so these two people were walking, and a stranger walked alongside them without recognizing who he was. They proceeded to share, he asked what they were upset about or concerned about, and they proceeded to share about Jesus being crucified and that he had died and all of the different things that were happening. And the short of it is that in the very end, when they stopped traveling and at the end of the day, they broke bread together and they realized it was Jesus himself. Now, the parallel it's not that one of us, neither Pastor Matthew nor myself, was Jesus in this case, but that as we're walking, we found the kindred light, we found the spark. And I didn't know he wasn't a full minister yet he had the heart and the patience to listen and the gifts. So it was a beautiful experience at Niagara Falls. You don't just walk past hundreds or thousands of guests every day. All the time. Occasionally you'll connect where that spark is, and that's what we found. And we've been friends on Facebook, and I've followed his ministry and mission for a long time. And unlike most church settings, we're not taking a collection tonight. Sorry, Reverend. And I shared a little of my father, who was originally, his family were from Scotland, and we proved he was a Scot because when my father remarried, he made the opening line of his wedding speech and he was like almost 70 years old. He said that he got the honeymoon suite at the seniors discount. So that's a true Scotsman. So, have you ever been back to Niagara Falls since then?
Sorry, could you ask the question?
Oh,
again,
yes.
please?
Reverend Matthew, have you been back to Niagara Falls since that time?
Yes, no, this is a really good story. My mother came over with her husband, and I said, "Have you ever been to Niagara Falls?" And she said, "No." So we took them to Niagara Falls, and I didn't tell them anything. I wanted them to experience the same experience that I had. And I'd also taken my brother on another separate occasion. And as we were approaching Niagara Falls, it was the same look in his face, which I had, because we said, "Roll down the windows and tell me what you hear." It's like, "Oh, what's that sound?" And so as we were approaching, we spent a nice time in the visitor centre. They are so helpful in that centre. You can purchase a ticket that gets you on all the rides. and then we walked down, and then we walked down this particular thing in Niagara Falls, which I can't remember what it was. You guys will know. And you walk down a walkway, and you can see part of the falls coming off the rocks, and you get soaked,
Cave of the
absolutely
Winds. Yep.
drenched. That's the thing. But it's the most beautiful experience in the world, because I said to my brother, listen, all you need is a bar of soap and you'll have a free shower. So, but
That's a
he
good one.
enjoyed it, uh, and he enjoyed it, and so did my mother.
Oh,
They were
good.
just taken aback, and then we went on the we went on the Maid of the Mist, and there was a lot of I think a lot of Chinese people were there that day, and it was just me and my brother, my wife, and a boat full of Chinese people, and it was wonderful. It really was amazing. We were there, and we got to the front of the bus, and there's a pole at the front of the Maid of the Mist, which I was holding on to, kind of just steadying myself as we were taking pictures. And my wife informed me, I think you should let go of that pole. And I asked why. Because we're in the middle of a thunderstorm here, and lightning's cracking all over the place. You don't want to be fried like a haggis on that boat in front of all these people. I was like, oh, okay then.
Well, my good friend Lightning Rod McDonald. That would be a great name.
So, so that
What?
was, and every time they came, as I said, I took my brother. He absolutely loved it. Took my
Oh,
mother; she
great.
loved it. And the thing about my mother is, uh, I tried to avoid the gift shops because I knew she would spend more time in the gift shops shopping than we would sightseeing. So we tried to turn her body sideways so she wouldn't see the gift shop. But to no avail. Her eyes lit up like a kid in a candy store and gravitated towards it. So we sat outside for an hour just watching our clock and seeing the birds on the thing as my mum went shopping in gift shops.
And the American economy took a huge boost that day.
She came out like someone who'd shopped for Christmas with bags and each arm's full of stuff. So like,
Oh, man. But it's part of the experience. It's like you want to bring some of it home with you. And there's lots of ways to do that. Some people will. I've met people who collect stones, or they collect
yep,
a sample of water, etc. But it really says that people want to be connected to something. And when they visit Niagara
yes,
Falls, they want to be connected to it. They want to understand where they're. I love it because I feel small. And I like to feel small,
yes,
because that's not a bad place to be. We are small, and Niagara Falls reminds us of that. When we're there, it doesn't matter how many times a week I'm there. I always just feel comfortable being small and knowing that this great thing will, just like God, doesn't stop.
Well, this is the thing which it made me think. Um, I love history. I love learning about, and ever since then, I've done a lot of history on Niagara Falls. And I often think to myself, maybe just a different viewpoint of before we came over or anyone came to America, how the native Indians lived there and they just enjoyed that. They had that beauty to enjoy every single day, unspoiled by tourism, unspoiled by buildings, and it was just an incredible experience for them. And now, when we go over, we are going over and we just absorb that experience, and it's something that never leaves you. It's something that when you go to Niagara Falls, in fact, um, when I went there the first time, I came back wishing I could have spent more time there because there's so much to take in. And I know, Nico, you're talking about how you're Canadian. When we went over to the Canadian side, we had a nice coffee in a shop, and the Canadian side is more full of hills, and you walk up this hill, but the view is breathtaking. And perhaps I would like to ask Nico a question. Now, the restaurant that rotates round, is there a queue to get into that, Nico?
Okay, so I'm gonna have to counter because plot twist. Although I am sitting underneath the Canadian flag, I am actually the American. Peter is the secret Canadian of this event.
Yes.
I know the restaurant you're
I'm
talking
British,
about.
like-
It's in the Skylon Tower. I don't know
Yes.
because I've never gotten in there.
Oh.
All my friends have, and Vanessa's been nagging me. My lovely girlfriend has been nagging me to take her there for years, and I have not. I keep meaning to.
Awesome.
But yes, Peter, how does...
There's not necessarily a queue. When you arrive at the base of the tower, you can make a reservation for the dining room. It's a fairly substantially large dining room. And it is a revolving restaurant. They have excellent food. I highly recommend the salmon. But you make your reservation at the bottom, and then you purchase your meal ticket, and that includes your lift ticket. So if your wait is going to be, say, 40 minutes, then you do the observation deck first. And that means that rather than sitting in front of a restaurant waiting to go in, you can actually enjoy the view from the observation deck above. And then you come down to the restaurant and you'll be seated. The best thing is to have reservations. And but it is an absolutely beautiful experience because it'll make a complete circle in an hour.
Wow.
And I tell people the greatest part of it is the fact that you don't have to go to the restroom; it comes to you. But yeah, the Skylon Tower, the food is very good. It borders on excellent. The view is just there's nothing like it in Niagara Falls. You can take a helicopter, you can take a plane. But the opportunity to just sit and watch everything kind of very slowly move by, but almost like in an instant, you'll realize how much has just gone past.
That is true.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned helicopters because when we got there, my mum, she'd watched too many episodes of Magnum PI and how Magnum got in the helicopter and went down everywhere. And so she wanted to go in the helicopter. We didn't know where it was, but she absolutely loved Niagara Falls.
Oh,
and I
great.
think if she could bring all her family there, it'd be a whole tribe invading Niagara Falls. I tell people if you've never been, make it one of those things in your bucket list to always go to Niagara Falls.
Absolutely.
That's very true. I mean, and everyone has a unique experience with Niagara Falls, and there's on both sides, on the American side and the Canadian side. And you are right. It is actually listed as the most popular bucket list item. I do believe it was listed as the number one bucket list item for people. But the cool thing about Niagara Falls is you've seen, because you've been here a couple of times, there's always something new to see. The falls are sort of constant, but there's always something new, and that's really what's so wonderful about Niagara Falls.
It is. You could spend a whole week there and not really take in everything that's there because it's not just about the water falling over the side of it. It's the culture, it's the people, it's the different history, it's the smell of Niagara Falls. It's I can't really describe the smell, but everywhere you go, there's a different smell of where you are in Niagara Falls. Sometimes it's the smell of the food, sometimes it's the smell of the vendor, but it's the smell of the water gushing over. And when you go on the Canadian side, it's you get sprayed with the water, and you just can't help but want to go back.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful way to put it. And that's partly why we started the program, was we wanted to get people to share what their experiences were like when they were here. And not so much, not always a nitty gritty, I had a great experience in this restaurant, but in this gift shop, the person was rude. We're more looking at the overall experience, like you've described, your mother's take on it, your brother's take on it. The fact that your mother was heading like a bullet for a helicopter, that's great. And it is so true though. There's something in Niagara Falls that connects to every human being, and if it's simply a matter of fresh water,
And that was the thing. So my mum is in a different generation that I am. My brother's in a different generation that I am, and it appealed to every one of our generations. My mum enjoyed, brought back memories riding the trolley. So she enjoyed the nostalgia of that. It brought back memories in the gift shop because the different variety of the gifts in the gift shop. It brought back memories of just the people and the sheer magnitude of it and enjoying the day. It was a beautiful day. Unfortunately, when I came with my brother, we were in the middle of a thunderstorm, but it did not stop the enthusiasm of all the people wanting to go on all the rides, wanting to walk in the rain and just enjoy it. Nothing deterred them from it.
We had that today. We have a blowing snowstorm going on, but this afternoon we had a thunderclap and lightning at in the base of the gorge. My guests from Germany saw the lightning. I didn't. Other people did, but I heard the thunder. And in the middle of winter, I guess two weather systems connected and impacted. But even in the snow, even in the coldest of temperatures, everyone finds beauty in it.
Yes, we do.
And so
yes, we do. When
marvelous.
You were there, when I met yourself, it was a beautiful day.
Yes.
When I came with my brother, it was hammering down the rain, or as we would say, it was raining cats and dogs and thunderbolts. And when I came with my mum, it was overcast and then it was beautiful. And so there was different times, but being there and absorbing everything and taking it all in, it's one of the most incredible places that you could be and enjoy. The people like yourself, Peter, and all the people that dress up and make that experience just special is what makes you want to go back.
That's great, and I really appreciate that. But it's a blessing because we meet people like yourself, and sometimes we make lifelong connections. Other times, in that moment, that's all it needs to be, is that one moment of spark, that just passes someone on their journey. But that can be encouragement, that can be hope, that can be support. It can be, we don't know what people are going through. And I know, Nico, you've had a lot of experience at the Falls where Nico is very customer service oriented in the various jobs he does at the Falls. And you could tell story after story. I know of the people you've helped because you've helped my people.
Yeah, yes, I have. I've helped your tour groups. I just even remember back, I've been working now at the Falls for years. One of my favorite ones that was the most interesting was American Council for the Blind. And it was 200 people from American Council for the Blind showed up. And it was their questions because their experience of the falls were through their other senses. So they were talking about, like you said, the smell of the falls, the sound of the roar. And it was interesting because they loved it. And they were describing the sensations of the falls where a lot of tourists will be like, well, what it looks like, where's the photo, do this. And it's like, it's a small part of the experience of it.
Oh, yeah.
And that was just, I remember that was one of my favorite days when I was with that group because they were just such wonderful people. And I got to I was learning to experience Niagara in a way that, having lived here my entire life, I never even considered before that. Which was...
That's a great take. I like that. That is beautiful. And for everyone, whether you have a missing sense or you have even a physical disability, I've met people who feel empowered by it. They ride the Maid of the Mist, and even if they're in a wheelchair, they feel part of it. The spray, that's kind of a sense of baptism, if you will. The cleansing of water. There's always a wonderful feeling of just the power of water and the power of water's power to clean and cleanse and heal. So there's just so much we can say in prose and in description and colorful metaphors about the falls. But it's really the way people meet. And for me, one of the greatest joys was meeting Pastor Matthew and Janie and following their ministry and mission. And at the same time, knowing that you've brought family here now, and that's how it only takes a spark to set a fire.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
Everything that we cover, it's been great.
Well, Reverend Matthew, why don't you, maybe I can invite you to just share a scripture that you feel that hits people. Something, if you were on an Emmaus walk or you were bouncing into someone, something been on your heart that you wanted to say. Someone may want to hear that, but I know that you live your faith very well.
One of the things which I realized that we all need help, and sometimes we're too proud to ask for help or reach out to people for help. But there's a wonderful verse of scripture that's always stayed with me, and it's almost been like a banner over me. And it's from Psalm 46, verse 1. And it says this: God is an ever-present help in time of need. So if you're in need just now, no matter what it may be, or you're facing a mess and you don't know how to get out of it, or you're in a difficult position and you don't know what to do, the Bible says God is an ever-present help in time of need. And when you pray, God will help you.
And that is very assuring and very warming. Well, thank you, Reverend Matthew. What a joy sharing with you tonight and hearing about your Niagara Falls experience, and wishing you every blessing. And I'll keep in touch, and maybe one day you'll be back up and we can get you on the show with us.
I would appreciate that, and my wife could be with me at that time as well.
You got it. Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you for your time tonight and for blessing us. And from everyone here, thank you and have a great evening.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Oh, that was cool.
It really was. I can understand why you friended him. He's wonderful.
He has a warmth about him, and Janie very much the same way. And yeah, I did see a spark. At that point in my life, I was kind of trying to discern some career things and other aspects of my life. Was I happy? And it was like, that's what I needed. That's how God is present in everyone's life. And I know we're not a religious show, but faith will never leave me. Faith is a huge part of my life. And when I met him, it was almost an affirmation. Now, so I do look forward to seeing him again and meeting more people. And we've got our resident Canadian official here. He's got to put his hat on, Lukey with the Tukey. And Luke, trust me, Luke. Okay. So there we go. So let's put Luke there. Lucas. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Lucas. He's like mini-me, only skinny. And Lucas is our real official Canadian critic. Not critic, but he tells us the best parts of Canada each time he's here in the studio. You might remember him from prior to Christmas when they took over the studio on us. And tonight on a snowy evening, Lucas, tell us now, the world wants to know, what is the best part of Canada?
You're not there.
Oh. He got me, folks. We're going to kill Lucas later. Peter! No, we're not. No, where do you go to school, Lucas?
Hyde Park Elementary School.
Right, and your teachers teach you how to zap people, right?
No.
No? No, So, let's see if I can get this a little better. That's good. Okay. So, yeah, we'll have Lucas back again in the near future. We've been calling him Lukey and say Lukey and his Tukey. Let's have one more look at Lukey and his Dookie. There's Lukey. A little longer, buddy.
Instead of the look.
There it is, Lucas. All right, Julian. There it is, Lukey and his Tukey. Can't even finish it. There you go. But it is fun having Lucas and his brother Noah in the studio. They are the younger brothers of our producer, Julian. So what do we got coming up in the next few weeks there, Nico? What do we? Do you have some things to inform, or do you want to announce Kevin, or you want me to?
I think you're going to announce Kevin.
Yeah, I did kind of already.
I'm sitting here. I'm just excited for the announcements.
Yes. Well, we do have Kevin Hutchins and his family are going to be part of our team, and they're going to be covering Fort Niagara for us on a regular basis, being at their events, announcing them in advance, helping us do promo for them. Kevin is a passionate follower of history. He's a big fan of Gettysburg and places like that. So he, his wife Crystal, and his son, who we know as Zack Attack, who does a lot of our interviews with people like the sheriff's office, they're going to be on a regular basis telling us what's happening in Fort Niagara.
That is really awesome. And this is cool. I mean, so we're on episode 12 of your Niagara Falls experience here. I can't believe it's already episode 12. But still, it's only episode 12, and we're already expanding. Like, this is, and the last couple of weeks have just been really fun. Like, we've had, the last couple of weeks have been some really cool shows.
Well, you were at Gotta Have It last week. That was great.
I was. In fact, I was at Gotta Have It again on Saturday, right before 3 different bowling alleys. Because I could not stay away from the falafel. When I was saying on last week's show, when I was talking about how great the falafel was, that wasn't an exaggeration. I went back on Saturday to get a falafel platter, and it was even better that time. Ooh. In fact, I waited extra long because they're like, are you okay with waiting? We're making the falafel right now. So it's not ready yet because we're making it. And I'm like, take as much time as you need. Like, take the entire rest of the day if you have to. I have nowhere to go. And it was really good.
Food was great. And we brought some wings home to Julian and Lucas's family, and the reviews of the wings were absolutely stellar. So good job. Gotta have it. There he is again, ladies and gentlemen. Lukey in his Tukey. Anyway, but... I can't get that phrase out in time. Julian, is it because I'm old? No. He missed another. I bet she's in the bathroom.
You were born before the dinosaurs.
That's true. That's true. Long before the dinosaurs ruled Canada. And, or did they play in the CFL? Anyway, so we got a lot happening, and we're talking to our friends at the Horse and Carousel Museum, and in many Buffalo locations, as well as on the Canadian side. So we hope to start bringing you a lot more on-location experiences, and Lukey and his Tukey. Anyway, it's great.
We're just going to send Lukey and his Tukey the entire time.
Yeah, that would be great.
We send him out as the advanced runner, so we think Peter just...
I come in peace. Yeah,
it's like, and then they have to deal with us.
Yeah, what's the best part about Canada? You're not there. Well, that's great. Anyway, so we all good, and we should see a lot of new things. You got show ideas, you want to communicate with us, you want to be on the show and share about your take on Niagara Falls. Yeah. I would love more people to come out and say, yeah, nice waterfall, eh?
But yeah, seriously, if you want to share your Niagara Falls experience, hopefully if you're following us on Facebook, facebook.com/your Niagara Falls experience, just shoot us a comment or a message, we'll respond. You could come on our show. And we also have a YouTube channel, which is... at your Niagara Falls experience over on YouTube, or you can go to our other social media, which is not as cool as our broadcasts. We're hoping we're going to expand. We're going to get a little bit cooler. We got some skits in the works and stuff. So there's going to be some fun stuff coming along in the year 2023. I can't believe it's already the end of January.
I'm still trying to figure out what happened in 1987. Sorry, it's just it. But we're at the end of our hour, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. It is really fun to be here. Thanks to my co-host, Nico, who really makes this a blast. And that logo behind us, eh? There.
This one.
That one, yeah. That's Lukey with the Tukey.
Not the Lukey Tukey, eh?
Lukey Tukey.
The other one.
Is that a dance? Dance the Lukey Tukey.
I mean, we do have a TikTok now, so we could.
That's what we'll do. We'll introduce the Lukey Tukey. And there it is. And you put your left hand in syrup. And anyway, so we'll have to come up with that.
The right one in poutines, eh?
Poutine. But, yep, we'll be back with lots more fun in the near future. And I think we're all good. You have a great night, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. But you can find us anytime on Facebook.
Right. Good night.